Everyone has something to share, in either wisdom, story, or logic, and it's clearly amazing to hear all the differing missing links discovered by people, unique to their own journeys, and in how they have come to discover them. Together, we can help to build a bigger picture for a better future, for a brighter tomorrow. Let's stand united. Let's remove the veils, and let's create a new world together. Are you that missing link? Join Jesse Hale on the Missing Link Talk Show as he helps to unveil the mystery through the unique wisdom and store of others. Only on Real Revolution.
Welcome everybody here to the Missing Link. Here we have Hillis Pugh with us today out of Florida in the United States of America. He's come to tell us a little bit about himself and the work he does, and just have a good conversation and to find any missing links, which is love-inspiring new knowledge. How are you today, Hillis?
I am wonderful, and I am excited to be here today, Jesse. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. We're excited to have you. So why don't you maybe start with a little bit about yourself and a little bit about, your journey to get to where we are here today.
Oh, wow, that's going to take the whole entire show.
Okay, well, I'll just pop your screen up there and I'll be back.
Okay, I can do that. But, a little bit about me. I am Hillis. I am a speaker, teacher, author of Gratitude and the Law of Vibration. In addition to that, I am a psychic medium and a Lemurian Light healer, using various modalities to assist in the acceleration and the nourishing of the soul to clear away all traumas, pains, illnesses, anything that you feel is no longer of service to you. Because we all have this belief system, right, that we have this bothers me, or this hurts, or whatever the traumatic experience or the root cause of varying life symptoms may be. It's what I do. It's what I love to work with people who are in that space of feeling stuck and not knowing where to go, and just wanting that guidance in that direction. And that's what I do. I love what I do, and it brings me so much joy to see people come out on the other side of working with me, a brand new person.
So how did you get into it?
Well, my journey started with gratitude. And, over the years, Thanksgiving has been very important to me for that one reason, because my journey began back in 2008 when I had one of the worst years of my life. Lost my job, lost my relationship. Everything was, coming to falling apart. Like if it couldn't get worse, it would. And so it was Thanksgiving of 2008 where I realized in that moment the love and support of my family, of my friends, and how they assisted me in that year of just really stepping up and helping me, and me finding my voice, my courage to ask for help when I needed it, even though there were moments like, I need help, but I don't know how to ask for it. And, you ever have one of those family members who kind of dotes on you a little bit. It's like, hey, I know you need something. And so it's in that where, I allow myself to be vulnerable. And it just allowed me to open up to express a blog and email subscriptions to where I would write about things to be grateful about every week. And so this blog turned into a book. And then from there, I just felt that there was more for me to do. And so I just decided to dive into my psychic mediumship, my intuitive abilities, to where I honed these abilities for 9 months in New York City. And then from there, just expanded out to me being a healer, to nourish people's souls, to help them on their path and purpose, to really find themselves. Because especially now more than ever, we are in this space of, what do I do? And so I'm the guy you come see when you don't know what to do.
So what kind of things do you go through to help somebody? Like, how do you get out of them the information in order to properly be able to help them?
Well, first of all, is comes from personal experience, my path and understanding, my personal traumas, my personal story, and me finding myself in these spaces, everything from introspective and meditations, and have my own personal journey. And so when a person reaches out to me, we go through a consultative process to find what service that I have that best suits them, to help them bring more clarity to their life and more stability and more grounding energy, to say, hey, I get it now. I understand why that happened when I was a child. Because most of the things that happen to us when we're children, because we are in a space of receptivity. We are just this sponge. You just absorb everything that we see, hear, touch, taste, all of it. And it's in that moment, that time, when we take that energy on and incorporate that into our own personal belief structure. And that own personal belief structure extends out into other areas of our lives, into our family, to our friends, and then we magnetize, we attract the things that we have most beliefs with. And it's in that system in itself where we help to deconstruct that belief system to find the root causes of whatever traumatic experience was, or whatever thought or belief that happened then at an early age, to really determine, this life symptom of you being afraid of heights isn't really that fear. It's something else that's connected to that. So it is in that space to where we really unite as one and work together, as I call in various energies in a session, using light language and Lemurian light energy by way of Sirius, to help bring in this energy, to bring more soothing, loving energy for the soul.
Can you tell us more about the Lemurian Light Energy?
Of course. I mean, it's what I love most of anything that I do. Uh, and so, it's interesting how this came about as well, because I was on my way to learning or getting my Reiki level 2 certification. And I said, well, I understand what Usui Reiki is. I get it. I am, mastered level 1 and looking at level 2. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this. And then, when I was about to reach out to my then Usui Reiki teacher, this person popped in my view. I was like, if you want to learn Lemurian Light Energy work, and it helps with, X, Y, and Z, all these things. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. And so I connected with him, and he showed me, he attuned me to what this works with. And it's such a broad spectrum of things that it assists with, everything from chakra alignment to traumas, to shame, to pain, to guilt, to any of the lower vibrating frequencies that we hold in the body. Because essentially what it does is I assist and facilitate this energy to call in and to penetrate the cells of the body, because the cellular structure of the body holds memory. The muscles hold memory. The organs hold memory. Every aspect of our being holds on to a particular memory. And during the consultative process with the client, I understand that wherever this pain is and whatever the memory that that particular space is holding on to, I work to restructure to that belief, to help release that belief, and then incorporate and bring in new energies, new beliefs, new thought systems to help progress, to move the soul forward in the energy in which it is asking for. Because I am just a facilitator. I channel and bring this energy in. It is me listening to the soul, to the client soul, their guides, to bring in the energy that the soul is asking for, to move past the hurt, the pain, the trauma, the pain, the guilt. And in addition to that, it also assists in the energy of soul retrieval, as well as we lose pieces of our soul through astral travel or any other energetic means that we lose, and then I allow the energies to be called back in a session to assist in that energy, to make that person to feel more whole than they once were.
What do you think about previous lives?
Oh wow, that has a big part to do with it. There are some lives, that we live prior to that we bring energy in from. For example, I know with myself, there's certain lives of energy that I brought forth into this life to assist me. And so when people often ask, well, do you feel, Hillis, that my past life energy is interfering with my current life objectives or goals? And I'm like, well, let's analyze that. Because when we step into the energy of past life, it could be the most recent, it could be the first, it could be somewhere in the middle, depending on how long you lived. We don't just always incarnate on Earth. We possibly could incarnate on another planet. I know I have, there's no denying that. But it is in that vein of energy that we allow what we consider karmic or any debt or any contracts, anything of that nature to affect us in this life. And that's what we look at together when I work with someone to see what energies are affecting this life. And sometimes it could be zero energy, sometimes it could be all of it. So this really depends on the energy and where you are presently to say, okay, hey, I get it. This is where I'm at. So let's kind of clean this up a little bit to have a new start, to really understand that nothing that happened in the past can affect me now. Even though I will say that everything that's happening, if you're in your present self, in your present body, that the energies from your youth, from when you're a child to your adolescence till now, they are all blended together, which is why the way that I work is in those phases to assist working with you in the totality of your singular being.
Yeah, I've been exposed to many different types of people throughout life, and experienced all kinds of different things. And I heard of some energy workers talking about past lives and connections, and sometimes they have to cut the cords to their past lives in order to move on. And is that maybe like a soul contract that has come from other lives that they still hadn't dealt with, that they have to deal with, or does that have to do with just the current situation with your soul contract?
That's interesting question, and thank you for asking that, Jesse. And it honestly really depends on the person and situation, because when we think of chords, we imagine the best way to really have a visual image of this is if anyone's ever seen the movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson, and there's a scene where she is walking to the hospital, and she starts to see all these chords from trees and from people, and people being on their phones and so forth. If we could really see the full spectrum of light, this is what we would see. The chords that are tethered to us. And so it is in that energy, that vein, that we have these attachments to our oversoul, our soul that's in the astral space, in the other dimensional energy. We have creator energy that's also connected to us. We also have other energies that stream out to other people to whom we're connected to in their life. And so when we think of cord cutting, it's almost cutting the umbilical cord, if you will. And this is the untethering of your connection to a friend, a mother, whomever, someone who you wish to not have ties with anymore. And so when we step into the energy of cord cutting, it is either one, because we no longer want to have a connection with that individual. Two, it is because that the energy no longer serves us. Three, or we just simply outgrown that space. And so, me personally, cord cutting is the same as ending contracts or clearing energy from your field. Because when we allow ourselves to ascend, the old naturally falls away. So typically, in person, I don't do cord cutting because it is just the level of me working with people to help them ascend, to go higher than what their soul is really asking for, to really move in a space of really getting that nourishing energy. It's like, okay, well, this person hurt me, and I'm going to, allow myself to rise above that and release that energy. Or, that instance with, the argument that I had with someone, that energy no longer serves me. So it really goes back into the energy of what's serving you and what's not. So cord cutting is, some people find it very necessary, as I don't, because what I like to do is we have to understand that connection. We have to understand why the purpose was there for that connection. And that's why I live, because if we just cut cords abruptly, and some people do, not saying that all people do this, but if you do work with someone who does cut cords, be very mindful who you are connected with. And so the reason why I choose not to is because it's the depth of the understanding that allows us to ascend into greater heights, to allow the old to fall away naturally.
Yeah, my girlfriend Angeline has been recently, battling some illness and stuff, and when she was going, she had a minor heart attack and a little bit of heart damage, and so she was going through. We had talked to this shaman that someone suggested us, and he did a kind of a video thing, and he started doing some cord cutting and attaching, and he was doing all this energy stuff. So it was pretty fascinating to experience this this energy work. What type of like energy work do you personally do with someone where they can you're actually affecting their energy or some of the ties that they maybe have?
Well, thank you for that. And so the work that I do is called Lemurian Light Energy, and it's by way of Syrian planet Sirius A, B, and C. So I channel this energy via light language through the veins and channels that are brought to me. And so when someone approaches me and requests to work with me, the process is for me to really understand what it is that they are going through, to find root causes of whatever life symptoms that they may have. For example, if someone is having knee issues or ankle issues or lower back issues or even heart issues, that speaks to me that someone who's not had the proper love or support in their life. And so what I do is, in that instance, we work together to find the point in their life to where that support stopped showing up or that support changed for them. And so whether if it was a parent or a friend or a boyfriend or someone who abused them, whatever the case may be, it's in that point that we work together to understand that dynamic of that relationship and to really get the gist of why that relationship happened. What was the purpose of it? What was I supposed to learn from this? How can we move on from that? And so it is in that of depth of understanding. Like, this person, my mother didn't love me. My mother didn't support me. My family didn't trust me. And so it's this body language and the words that we use to really execute this belief system that we created for ourselves, to make ourselves feel safe and secure in our tiny little box. And so it is in that tiny little box where we then allow ourselves to be restricted to not having enough or not feeling the support and love that we have. And so in that instance, I bring in the other energies that the support didn't come from, such as the mother, the boyfriend, the family member, whomever. And so it is then that there's a conversation that happens, a dialogue that happens in that space. So it is in that space of dialogue to where the soul really receives the nourishing energy, the loving energy that is being asked for to help change and move the space and energy. Because we can go through and cut cords all day long. Not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but if we don't have the resolution to why that happened in the first place, or why that connection was important in the first place, then the cycle may tend to repeat itself, or be born in another space. So this is why people, who come to me and say, "Oh, I had this done or I had that done." None of that matters when people come to me, because when people step to me, it's a brand new start. Because I work with people on various levels in different sessions to allow them to be whole, to be complete, to feel their soul uh, greeting them and welcoming them with love and happiness and joy for the first time. Because it is in that energy of joy and happiness and oneness that we really allow ourselves to receive what our soul is truly asking for.
So it's like an energetic psychologist. You're really using you're really using their psychology, and you're really having to delve deep into what has happened to them throughout their life in order to figure out where those emotional blockages are, in order to be able to help them resolute and actually get over some of the stuff that's traumatic that's happened to them.
I really like that. I never thought about it that way. An energetic psychologist. So essentially, yeah. So a session typically with me, is mostly nonverbal, because everything that is because of our current situation, everything is virtual. So everything is done over the phone. It's a very powerful guided meditation in that sense. And as we just spoke about, everything is done on a soul energetic level. And the same is done if I am in person with someone. It's just me just being more hands on. Yet I still channel the same energy. But I mean, who doesn't need a good therapy session to talk it out, right?
Well, a lot of people, they have this buried down deep trauma, and finding someone that's a stranger that they can just talk about some of the things that have gone on in their life to maybe find some resolution. If they find the right person that they can connect with, then there's a lot of healing that can be done in order for them to move on for whatever that's holding them back.
Yeah, definitely. And what I find most fascinating about the energy work that I do, because years ago, I had a reading done, and this was before I'm doing the work that I'm doing now. Someone said to me, said, "Yes, Hillis, you're going to be a healer." And I'm like, "That's going to be amazing. I can't wait to do that." But then after I left, I thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm an author. I write. So technically, that's kind of healing with my hands through the words that I write. I'm like, yeah, so I'm doing that anyway. What? And so here I am, like years later, actually using my hands and channeling energy in that sense. And so it's very therapeutic yet mind blowing to me in how people allow themselves to be vulnerable when they really want to move from a stagnant place in their life to really allow for that love to come in to really help them in ways that they never thought of before. Because that's essentially what I do, is bring love on an energetic level into the life. Let them see love in a different way. Allow them to see love in unexpected ways in their life. So yeah, that's what I do.
And maybe sometimes love for the very first time.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes when I talk about this, I get emotional because of my own personal stories. Of the things that I lived through, and some of the things that I have allowed in my life. Knowing my own strength, knowing my own vulnerability. It just helps me to see and to know and to feel, when I'm working with someone, what it is that they're feeling and what it is that they are experiencing, because it helps, us to be better, and they say some of the best healers are some of the ones who've been through the most. Not saying that I've been through the most, but I've been through a lot to help me to really understand, to be a conduit for this energy.
Could you maybe share some of the stuff that's, gets you kind of emotional that you've been through?
Well, most recently, about 6 years ago, it was very shattering for me. I mean, this is typical, but when um, 6 years ago I lost my aunt, she passed away, and 3 months later, my mom also passed away. So, I'm not saying that a passing of a loved one is trivial when it comes to trauma, but when you have uh, the loss of a loved one, it creates this emptiness. It just creates this void, this black hole that is unimaginable to be filled, and yet you find yourself. And even today, 6 years later, I still cry about them. And so it's like you want to have something to fill this with. And so with any trauma, whether if you were mentally, verbally, sexually abused, I mean, and you want to move on from that, but it creates this anchor in that moment. And there were times as a child being picked on, or there were times when in my young adult life being very confused and off-putting, or being off-put on by certain situations, both mentally, emotionally, and some even sexually, that a bit personal I'm not going to go into right now, but it allows me to see the trauma in different ways. It allows me to, even the traumas that I witnessed in my own family, it really helps me to see, one of the things that it can really help and nurture people, and even witnessing, not directly witnessing, but witnessing the emotional hurt and breakdown of even my aunt uh, being, sexually abused when I was no more than 5 or 6 years old. I mean, just really trying to comprehend that today, versus when I was a child then. All these energies and all these spaces that we allow ourselves to be put in just for growth. Because everyone who's watching, you have to remember that planet Earth is a school. This grand school, this grandmother of schools. We are here to learn whatever we are here to learn from. And sometimes these situations are dire and hurtful and painful and on the lower end of the spectrum. But coming through them all, it's nothing but love and brightness.
So I've talked to a lot of people that have been through a lot of traumas and a lot of abuses, a lot of, sexual abuses at a young age. And for a lot of them to be able to protect themselves, they would check out of their bodies. And for those people, when you say a lot of people that have gone through a lot through their life end up being some of the, most powerful of healers, is because they find this energy, they find this connection to source that seems to be really severed, through the systematic, takedown of God and creation and everything, and that, we've been currently living in. And so what they do is they check out of their bodies, and then they are into this now other world that, we only see with our physical eyes here maybe 10% of what is actually around, like you said earlier. Yeah. All of those lights and connections and cords and things like that. But people that have gone through a lot of these traumas can actually see a lot of those things, and then are being given messages directly from God or source, to like talk to some random stranger and tell them some random, thing. And they're like, all of a sudden the person bursts out in tears because, that helps them through their journey. And people that are more, have had a lot of happen to them end up being more connected that way. So is that kind of a little bit, relates to your situation?
Oh, most definitely. Because, when you are in it, you don't necessarily see it. You are more so reacting to the trauma. You're more so reacting to being in the space of a survivor. You're we move from the space of being proactive and living our life joyfully and gleefully without a worry or less of a worry in the world. And then when we are hit with the trauma, when something unexpected comes in, because that's what traumas mostly are. The tiniest thing could be unexpected. Heck, someone screaming at you, could be traumatic, or someone, stepping on your toe, traumatic. So it's mostly all these unexpected experiences, it sets us back on our heels. And then we step into this space of reacting and becoming a survivor. And so, what I've witnessed that people who, mostly clients, who have stepped into that space of being reactive and being a survivor is that, whether they either, begin to overeat or excessive eat or do things to protect their bodies, like going to the gym, working out, there's all these varying extremes of how we step into the space of survivor or step into this space of this is not going to be me again, or just reacting to everything because this is the space that we're in there because I don't want to hurt. I don't want to feel pain. I don't want to feel any of this anymore because it just hurts so much. And I get it. I truly understand. I get why people don't want to ever feel this way because it sucks. I mean, it's really, it sucks till it sucks no end. I mean, it sucks literally the life out of you, and you're living your life based on, whatever that experience was. Heck, for me, up until, earlier this year, I was afraid of heights. I actually kind of still am afraid of heights, but I went skydiving anyway, jumped out of a plane, and it was the best thing ever, and it was in there like, I've always wanted to jump out of a plane to overcome my fear of heights. And people are like, what? You're crazy. Why would you do that? And I'm like, so I can overcome my fear of heights. I mean, I know it's stupid or crazy to you, but I mean, I feel that's what it's going to take for me. So we go through these extremes to do these things to really overcome something. And not saying, that everyone can jump out of an airplane and feel better. If that was the case, we'll all be doing it. But, it is in that space of really, really accepting and moving forward and really just allowing us to move in a new direction, to begin to have peace, to begin to have love in our lives.
So did you come to peace with the things that have happened to you throughout your life?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's still times or instances where I'm reminded of I would rather want. Yeah, I haven't gotten that brave yet, Melissa. I would love to do that. Actually, I used to walk around in my youth, like in my late teens and early 20s. I used to walk around shirtless in Chicago at times, But that's a whole other story. But yeah, I used to feel that overwhelming of energy because if you anyone who's experienced trauma, and I will say this, most people don't know, but those who do know, you can kind of tap into this energy of being born is a trauma. Just imagine the soul, this body, this vessel being empty, and then you're put into this vessel, into this body, and then you're being put into a 3D, into a very physical environment from a non-physical environment. So just imagine that. Just imagine how traumatic that is. From moving from, one dimension to another dimension, poof, you're here. And we still carry that. And so I know that, and I still long to be non-physical, which is part of the reason why I do the work that I do, because it takes me to a non-physical space to where I can be of service to help those in other dimensional planes and realities. It's like, okay, look, we're here, we're doing this, and let's move on from it. Because that story that you told yourself about, the person who hurt you or the person who kept you in this low vibrating energy and frequency, it's over with. The event is done. There's no reason why they should still hold power over you, especially now in this time where we're moving so quickly through the ascended levels of this space. It's just in that mastery that we want to get to now.
What does ascension mean to you?
Oh wow, that's like a that's a loaded question, Jesse. So ascension for me, we all have our definition, especially in the light worker community, of ascension. And so for me, there's always a textbook term of ascension, meaning to go higher, to be more, to rise up through the current space reality. But for me, ascension is being more than what you are, stepping into that wisdom and knowledge of accepting of what happened in the past. Yes, accepting what happened to you on a traumatic level, accepting all life experiences, no matter how small, no matter how minute, whether if it was just a passing conversation, or you finding money on the street, or you being kicked in the pants, or you being teased or called names, whatever it was, that had now holds no power over you, and ascending into that energy of your own self mastery, because this is what we are all masters, and it's up to us to step into the mastery of self, which is why I am also creating this school of self mastery, because it is in the importance of energy that we ascend and rise together to be masters of self, because I am a teacher, I'm also a student, yet I'm also a master. And we are all these things. And it's in that level of Trinity that the unity of oneness arises. And because we are all one, it doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing, it's just in that vein of energy of connection and allowing us to ascend individually or together. Because when one ascends, we all ascend, because we all ascend together, because one has the wisdom and knowledge to help others behind them, to assist them to come up and say, look, we're not alone in doing this. We're all doing it together.
What about people that are working in the right direction, that are learning, that are growing, that are healing, that are ascending, but then the ones that are stuck and they're caught and they're still, in that, really horrible vibration where they're hurting people and self-medicating and getting drunk and, really hurting the energy in the collective, or are they ascending with us? You're saying we're all ascend together, but are they holding us back, or do they not, ascend and they're on a different path and direction altogether?
Well, everyone eventually ends up on the same path, regardless of what it is that they are doing in their life presently. And one of the things that I'm appreciative of is the fact that we have this great contrast in our life. Because you have people like us, the light workers, who are busy helping other people, release their traumas, their pains, and then, like you just say, you have those people who are stuck and just don't and want to wallow in it. But yet, there too are providing the contrast for us to allow us to help more people. But we also have to see the beauty in that, because it takes power, it takes strength to stay in that energy of wallowing in their pain for so long. You know, because this is what hurt me the most about my mom when she passed away, was that I knew my mom was hurting. I knew my mom was an alcoholic, but I accepted it because I couldn't change her. I couldn't, all her friends, all family around her couldn't change her, because of how much pain she was in. But it wasn't until my mom passed that I was going through the house, cleaning up the house and, putting things here to donate. If you ever lost someone, there's this whole process. And so something told me, Spirit told me to pick up her journal and read through her journal. And so I did. And to imagine living in pain every day, to self-medicate, to just say, I'm done, I'm over it. There was even a time when my mom committed suicide, or not committed, but attempted suicide. And so that, helped me to see how strong she really was. Not to say that, some people choose to stay stuck in that because they don't know where else to go. And that's okay, because eventually we find our way out. And what really brought a smile to my face was that my mom was coming to visit me for her 60th birthday. And the last conversation that we had was that she finally understood, finally got what it was that I did, to help people, what the energy work that I do. She finally got it, finally resonated with her. And I'm like, I can't wait, because my mom was going to come do plant medicine with me. My mom was going to really experience my will, in that space. And every day my mom is with me now, because, she never made it to New York, because she passed from Legionnaires before she made it to see me. But it was in that moment where my mom chose to finally end her suffering. So those who view people that are stuck in their suffering, admire their strength, admire their resolve to choose to be in that contrasting energy, desperately looking for a way, desperately looking for help. Admire that, because it's just as hard, or sometimes even a little bit easier, to say, I'm done with it. Wash my hands, I'm done, I'm moving on. And so we choose to do so. But those people who don't choose or can't choose, there's more power and strength in them than you'll ever know.
Do you think that things are predetermined, predestined to happen here? Is it God's will that these things happen? Or is this like just a free, to do what you do, and unfortunately some people choose, to go the horrible route and hurt people, and that's not part of, the way things are supposed to be here?
This is a really gigantic ball of energy and information, because you have what I have personally seen in a vision of what we call the life selection process. And so what this looks like to me, the vision that I had, was there was this beautiful amethyst purple ball of energy that I'm sitting in. It's almost like this very high valuable technology. And so I'm sitting in this amethyst bubble. And as I'm sitting in this space, I get to see my life, or the life that I wish to have. And so on these little monitors, these little screens, I have A, B, C, D, E, F. I have like 6 choices. And I get glimpses of each of these choices. So this is why, if anyone ever experiences deja vu, this is the reason why. Because of the selective amnesia that we receive when we are born onto this planet. And so with us choosing A, B, C, or D, we choose whatever number, whatever letter, we choose that life, we come into that life not knowing anything else about it except what we saw. And so as we choose that, we come into this life and play that life out. However, on that life path that we chosen, there's the energy of free will, meaning that, any outside sources cannot intervene with whatever we choose. Even though we may deviate from our life path, there's no one saying, hey, you got to get back over there. You're off path. You're off path. No, 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 no. It's like, red flags. But the red flags come up in form of intuition. When we start to feel a certain way, of to know something's off or something's wrong or something's not right, that's the intuition. The red flags telling us we're off path, or we're right, or we are right where we're supposed to be. So this is kind of like a convoluted construct, if you will, because you have everything that is predetermined and predestined, yet there's the free will to go explore things off path. So it just really comes down to what it is that you want, what you like, and how things feel for you, because this is life, this is school. I know that I cut classes a few times, so you're entitled to cut class every now and again and to have a different experience. And so that's what it is. This life is your experience, however you see fit.
Yeah, I just have a hard time with people that say that, the horrible things that happen to people as children and things, and, that was just meant to happen and that was supposed to happen, and, that was God's plan to happen. And I think that's, I think it's horseshit, because, people choose to do these things with the free will that we've been given, and it's not predestined that someone is to be hurt by these monsters that choose to hurt people in these certain ways instead of that's free will choice, and that's not how it was supposed to be here. That's not what was supposed to happen to them.
Right. And so it is in that energy that we band together to create a collective consciousness, a new collective consciousness, a new a space of ascension. And so, as I mentioned before, yes, we allow each other to be of service, to help one another, to help the person behind you, just like lift them up and say, hey, come on, we got work to do, and so it is in that space of free will, of really allowing you to have the full experience, but yet you have to remember, your path and purpose, which is one of the things that I really love, is that space of really understanding the divine blueprint, really understanding your soul's divine blueprint, to really understand my purpose is X, my purpose is Y, and how is it going to look for me? How can I fulfill this purpose? And so when we kind of deviate from our path of our predetermined path and go explore the free will choice, which is amazing, beautiful to have this free will, to exercise this free will, to cut class, to explore and do different things, and yet we still have to end up finding our way back. And so it is in us finding our way back to path, things really begin to grow and blossom.
Yeah, I think our sole purpose here is love, and to experience as much love and experience as much as we can here. And then, if, there's the ones that are living in the fear and the pain and the hurt and that are hurting people, those are the ones that are off the path. Those are the ones that aren't experiencing. And this is love's playground, to experience, to grow, to do things, to, just have a wonderful time while you're here. That's our purpose. And, unfortunately, with the system that, from the top down, the rulers at the top, they seem to twist and hurt and cause suffering in every single twist and turn, that it filters down to everybody else that now has to live with all this chaotic, hurt, painful war mentality energy, that now it vibrates, that people are just trying to survive as best they can and be as loving as they can, which, most people are really off their paths right now just because of how, crazy the system that we're, indoctrinated in.
That's interesting, Jesse. I like how you express that, but also too, with the people who choose to be on path or off path, it's also in that play field of yin and yang, the contrast of the construct that we live in. And so it is in this level of contrast that we sometimes get upset or angry and downright just pissed off, Nothing wrong with that, because there are times when I get angry or pissed off, but what do? I sit and I generate an immense amount of love to send out to my fellow friends, to allow them to feel that love, to embody that love, and to pass that love to someone else. Because, we're all hurting on some level, some of us more so than others, and it is in that vein of where we can take that hurt, that pain, and be able to transmute it into love. Because as I talk to my clients and other people, that all things begin and end in love. Because why do we get hurt, or why do we get angry or upset? Is because we want the ability to change some things that we not be able to change, and that passion comes from love. that anger comes from love. And when we allow ourselves to be open and to be vulnerable to receive what we're asking for, we allow ourselves to feel safe and secure and to really step into that loving energy, to embody that. And so when we are on path and when we allow ourselves to ascend with the wisdom and knowledge we have accrued over time through our experiences, we can truly understand the value of the energy of unconditional love and acceptance of other people, no matter where they are. Whether if it's, someone who has been beaten and downtrodden, or or a child who has been left homeless and orphaned. And I know these things are very hard to stomach and very hard to receive. But at the same time, we have to allow ourselves to have that universal love for ourselves first, and then walk in that love every day through the appreciation of what has been given, what has been offered, and then allow ourselves to step into another level of love, to be able to send out that love and appreciation to the other people, then step up to another level. So it's like this slow incline of really allowing ourselves to feel what it is that we've been asking to feel this whole time. Over 2,000 years ago, the story of Jesus. I mean, come on. I mean, if that isn't sensationalized for us to believe in something, to believe that anything is possible, then what is? I mean, come on. I mean, we have the power to do this. I mean, we have the power to change. It's not just one person that did all this 2,000 years ago. You think that Jesus really himself impacted the world alone? No, he had people to help him. There was the 12 known apostles, right? And then you have Mary Magdalene, the woman by his side. But there was more people that were spreading this information, more people that were spreading this energy of love and joy and happiness. Everywhere he went, he left an imprint of this energy of love. And this is what it's all about, is to leave that imprint of energy of love to allow us to really rise up above, being more than who we are, regardless of our circumstances. Because heck, if I would have stayed where I was over 20 years ago, I wouldn't be here now. I'll tell you that much. Because it's all in the story that we choose to tell. And yes, we could keep telling the same story over and over and over again, for 20 years, but it's how that story serves you and how that story is lending itself to lift others up. And it's how that story is giving you strength, and how that story is providing the wisdom and knowledge for other people, to give them hope, to give them strength, to give them the endurance and stamina to know that they can make it through whatever situation that they're in.
You're right, and it's all about love. It all is about love, and that's why I think the yin and the yang is a fallacy. I think yang was created just to justify shitty behavior. I believe that once you take yourself away from the love, you can make yourself believe that anything is, right or justified if you're out of alignment and out of that love vibration. And I believe everything is yin, everything is love, and they've only created that to be able to believe that these horrible things that they're doing, it was the dark side that made me do it, or it was they create that to be able to live with themselves, to be able to sleep at night, that shows that it was just meant to happen, because we all have the light and the dark. When I believe we're all light, and they've just created this dark paradigm in order to be able to justify it.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Jesse. I like that. And so what, through this experience, this human experience, as I call it, we have to experience the contrast, or yang, if you will. And I like how it's interesting how you say, people play that blame game. And yes, playing that blame game is, different than the contrast. How they put blame on the lower vibrating energies or frequencies, such as the dark and so forth and so on. But in order for us to really understand love, we have to have that hate. We have to have appreciation. No, hear me out.
Not my belief. I
Right.
believe, again, I believe that, that's another fallacy created in order to say that in order for us to understand the love, you need to understand the pain and the hate and the dark. And I don't believe that. In my heart, I just think that that's to justify shitty behavior, because if
Well, when I
everybody was
speak of
living in
it,
their true if everybody was living in their true power of love, then everything was loving, then we would never have that hate, that fear, that darkness. It just wouldn't exist. That's
yeah,
created by man. You don't need to have that in order to understand love, because love is just love, and experiencing grows and grows, and that's about the experience, and you don't have to have that pain in order to understand love. I don't personally believe that, but everybody has the everybody can believe whatever that they need to believe while they're here.
this is true, and I appreciate and really respect your viewpoint. But when I speak of contrast, I don't speak of it from the perspective or hatred or anger or anything to put blame on someone. When I speak of contrast, I speak of it in a way that really allows us to experience growth. And there's in one of my plant medicine journeys, I asked to see the space where we were born from, to really ask the medicine and the stars of the universe to really see and understand the space in which we are birthed from. And it is in that space where I saw the darkness, I understood the darkness. And the darkness can be whatever experience you wish to fill in here, whether it was hurt, pain, trauma, whatever. And it is in that experience of the darkness where light is born. And in that light, there is so much love, so much happiness, so much joy that it just overtakes the darkness. And so, when I speak of contrast or the yang energy, it is not to give someone an excuse. It's not to give someone a pass for their behavior. It is not. It is for them to see what they've done, to understand what they've done, the trauma, the pain, the hurt they have inflicted, for them to understand that, to see that, and to really own it. And that's part of what I do, Jesse. It's part of me to help people own, excuse my French, but own their shit, basically. Because I don't give anyone any passes, not even myself. I think, if anyone is most critical of themselves, it is ourselves. And so, yeah, there are people out there hurting, for whatever pain they've inflicted, or maybe not. People probably just psychotic and whatever, that's what they are. But it's also in that same vein that we have to allow ourselves to, I see the pain here. I see the desperate energy here. I see the traumatic experience here, but yet I'm still going to extend a hand to love you. I'm still going to extend a hand to lift you up because I see the pain. And this is what I speak of when I speak of contrast. Because we see the hurt and pain in everyone else, and the hurt and pain that has been inflicted upon each other through everyone else's experience, because there was always the first, the origin. People always talk about, the first sin. Damn that. I mean, this universe, this galaxy is much older than what we can even possibly conceive. And when we think back millennials, thousands and thousands upon thousands of years, how long has this cycle been going on? And the energies that I'm connected to speak of how young Earth is, how young we are, how young this school is, and how long it takes to get to that space of just everything is just in loving vibrational energy. And I tell you this much, we are much further along the way than in a much faster way than we've ever been in our life. And this is a beautiful thing to feel, a beautiful thing to witness, a beautiful thing to behold. So everyone, own your shit, number one. No more blame game, because that just slows down the process. But, the contrast to all things will always come back to love, no matter what.
And I'm not saying that, the yang doesn't exist, that it's, the darkness is not there, the pain, the hurt and things is not there. It is, because this is like we've been living under the rule of a 6,000-year-old death cult that, brought that into existence. But what I'm saying is that it shouldn't be here. It's not supposed to be like that. We're not supposed to have to experience the pain and the suffering and the darkness because they decided a long time ago that they were going to justify their shitty behavior by saying it's just supposed to be there. And then generation after generation after generation, we're all having to live under this, because this is the way we've grown up into. Our parents have been hurt, their parents have been hurt, right. Their parents, there's darkness after darkness after. But it, to me, my own belief is that it's not supposed to actually be here, right?
Yes,
so that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Yes, so no, in that vein, in that context, then yes. I mean, it shouldn't be, but it is. And so this is how we then gather together, say, blow the roof off this place and be done with it, right? So yes, in that instance, yes.
Okay, so here we have, this was a while ago, it was Joshua said, and I got a question from it. He says, had anyone ever researched the effects of the injection and psych meds on psychic ability? I believe it makes everyone muggles the great reset. So I'm not sure about the last part, but my question to you is, what's your thoughts on people that, not only are getting injected, but people that, heavily self-medicate, whether it's pharmaceuticals, whether it's alcohol, whether it's, some heavy drugs. What's your thoughts on them, being in touch with their psychic abilities when they're heavily, intoxicated or medicated?
Right. So first of all, thank you for calling this an ability and not a gift, because it is an ability. Number two, anyone, honestly, it really comes down to what medication, because medications affect the body differently. And so I'm not familiar with psych meds because I've never, been induced or, taken or been injected with any psych meds. But I know and understand that, anything to inhibit the mind will essentially inhibit your psychic ability. And so this is, why I choose not to take any form of medication. If I choose to medicate, it is with herbal medications and tinctures, because they are from the planet, they are natural, they are ones who really help to assist the body in the transformation and improving one's overall health. So any drugs, if you ask me, or anything to do, recreational drugs, I'm not so sure about because I haven't done recreational drugs, but any medication to induce or to put the mind to sleep, yeah, it would probably inhibit your psychic abilities.
Yeah, it just makes perfect sense that the more you put into your body that takes you away from what your true essence is, it's going to hinder your abilities in some way. And right now you've got so many, of these, sorcerers called, big pharma that seem to, want to put all these, substances into people, whether it's through the air, through their spraying, or, through the injections into the animals. You eat the meat of the animals, and, you're taking their pharmaceuticals, their chemicals in their water, and then not to mention all the pills and injections that they're trying to force on people, which I believe it takes us away from the true connection to source and to the loving vibration that we're supposed to be in.
Yeah, I mean, well, anything just as small as a belief, a thought, is just enough to take anyone out of their square. I mean, if you believe something enough, or if you have a thought in something, or it's just that little bit is enough to inhibit whatever you choose to have inhibited. And if you believe in a thought, or believe in an idea, or believe in something outside of yourself, such as medication or anything, then yes, it is going to allow you to have that experience. I mean, an experience is an experience. I mean, that's where the energy of free will comes in. because we're on path. And it's like, oh, I want to go explore, I want to go have fun, let me try this. And you go off path. It's like, oh, wait, why did I do that? You have that experience. And so you can be appreciative of that experience, knowing you have that you can reference to when people decide to choose to be, a healer or a medium or anything, where they can just bring that energy back. It's like, I know what that feels like, and cue it up and be like, okay, let's get through this, and let me help this person, or give advice, or whatever it is. It's just an experience. I mean, granted, yeah, it's not the best one, but it's one that we can really allow ourselves to be of service to.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, experiencing these things is okay as long as you don't abuse them and as long as they don't take over your life, right? It's okay to experience this and that. That's what we're here to experience. As long as you're not hurting others with your experiences, experience all you want. But if it takes over your life, if all of a sudden that's, your whole existence has to do with certain substances or certain things and you can't live without those things, now you're getting away from what this place is supposed to be of experience, and not, being overly medicated or intoxicated, or, in some certain ways where now you're losing out on the rest of the experiences because you can't, seem to get them because you're too stuck in that, one, certain vibration that keeps you, stuck in that ball.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. We've got a bunch of comments here, but what's your thoughts on soul contract? What's your soul contract while you're here? Do you have a predetermined soul contract? Does that just kind of happen when you're here? Like, what's your thoughts on what a person's soul contract is?
Soul contract is like 1,000-page agreement. I mean, honestly, if you think about soul contract, it's definitely all predetermined, okay? And, reason why it's predetermined, because, you have a soul family that you incarnate with. And so everyone comes to the table. It's like, okay, well, this life I'm going to be your best friend. This life I'm going to be your mother. This life I'm going to be your father. This life I'm going to be the boyfriend that likes your mom, and I'm going to be the one. So it's like this whole convoluted stuff. And so the reason why I say convoluted is because you have to remember the earth is a school. And so in this school, when you live multiple lifetimes, and you live in various races and both genders, and this whole experience, this whole school of mastery, is that we really allow ourselves to experience very multiple facets. And so each person that is in your family, your soul family, they come back, reincarnate as whomever, whatever, in this life, the next life, and for lifetimes until whatever experience can't be experienced anymore. And so you have all that is predetermined. The blueprint, the roadmap is laid aside, and everybody comes in at different times because of how the earth energy is, because of how things develop. So everybody comes in at different times. But while you're here, there are some contracts that overextend themselves. Like you have an overdue library book. I'm like, oh, great. I still have this library book, and you're still paying for the fines after like a year or two later, because it's like, why am I still in this? It doesn't serve me. I don't need this anymore. I want to give it back, and you can't because library is closed. What do you do? And so it's in that space and energy where you can allow yourself to dissolve whatever contracts that aren't serving you anymore, or create new ones with other people. So it is in this space-time energy where you have, yet again, to exercise the energy of free will to end whatever in the contract, especially if the contract has come to an end and it's overextending itself. So when it comes to that, it's definitely more so a predetermined issue because of the what we feel and call the illusion of time on the planet, and how things evolve and grow and move. And so you have to, it gives way to that energy.
So now, energy healing, when you're physically with someone you know, that obviously the energy healing that you can provide for somebody is magnified because of the time, the space, to be able to put the hands on the person. You know, it really is, you know, quite an experience. Now, when people are doing this, you know, virtual, long distance, you know, energy healing, is it like maybe like the placebo effect where the person has to believe that they're receiving this energy in order to get the energy to heal them? And if they have blocks in receiving it, they can't receive it? Or, you know, when you're sending this energy and sending this healing, the person's going to receive it either way, whether they believe it or have blocks to receive it or not?
Okay. That's a really good question. And so I want to first start by expressing that I am, well, I choose not to use the word healer in my work or my practice, only when it applies to necessary things. And the word I choose is nourisher or nourishment, because this is what the soul is asking for, because the energy that I send and connected to nourishes the soul, nourishes the body, and opens up new channels and energies. And so when people have this perception of one being in person, you know, to do Reiki one-on-one, to do this energy in person, that it's stronger than it is in a remote or virtual way. That is completely false. That is completely untrue in my experience. I can't speak for anyone else, because if I'm putting hands on someone, yes, they feel it intently and intensely there in that moment, depending on, you know, how much I turn up the energy for them to receive what they need to receive in that moment. And I do the same virtually, and the person doesn't have to believe or not. It is the level of intention that they put behind it, and because they are the one who is primarily receiving and doing this work for themselves. So everyone that I've worked with over the past years has really allowed themselves to be open to receive the energy that I channel for them, to nourish their being, to nourish their soul, to nourish the total body, their total soul. And it is in that essence of that energy, it's like, I am present, I am here, I am allowing this energy to do what it needs to do. So bottom line is that it doesn't matter if it's in person or virtually, it has the same strength.
So me and my girlfriend Angeline, we were watching this video that someone sent us yesterday about some, I believe it was some Shaolin monks, and then they were creating energy into their hands, and they would heat up where they actually put a plastic bottle, and you could see the bottle melt in their hand, or he had a piece of paper, and the paper actually started to light on fire because they actually had that prana, that chi energy flowing through them so hot that they're able to actually, you know, make energy. So is that, you know, how this energy is created, is through this heat, and, you know, people are able to self-manifest that energy? Or is it just, you know, thought energy, and you send those thoughts, and, you know, if people receive them, they receive them?
I love Shaolin monks. I wish I could study, you know, from the time I was born until like forever. Maybe I'll come back as a Shaolin monk in my next life for me to really tap into all of that energy.
It's
Uh,
never too late though, if that's something that piques your interest. Start, you know,
yeah.
learning the ways, and start, you know, creating that energy. If that's really what interests you, that may
Yeah.
be able to help you through your journey.
Is there any Shaolin monks out there watching? Call me. No, but really, it's interesting because when I, as my teacher calls it, run energy, I get very warm in my body. So always in the midst of me doing energy, I always have to have a fan on, because I know how warm my body gets, whether if I'm doing this in person or virtually. And so the energy that I generate in me is the energy that I send to the individual who is the recipient. Now, whether they get warm or not is up to them. You know, I know they feel it because they tell me they feel the energy. Now, their body temperature is a different thing. You know, there's been very few people that expressed how warm they get, but I don't know if everyone who I've worked with over the years receive or feels that same experience.
Uh, can you maybe describe one of the powerful, you know, energy sessions that, you know, you kind of have gone through and witnessed, you know, some kind of, you know, transformation in somebody that you've been able to work with?
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's interesting because most of uh, my clients really suffer from really deep traumatic spaces, and one client, and typically it takes about 3 to 4 sessions to really to complete the transformation, but typically see a change in one. And there was a client who was sexually abused, and she, had all the classic abuse symptoms. Uh, and so with that, she really allowed herself to be open and vulnerable because she was ready for change. And so just seeing her, just in one session, allowing her to, have someone approach her or have someone touch her in a different way, it really bothered her. And so just in one session, she was allowed herself to be vulnerable again, to receive that love, because that's what it was that she wanted. She wanted to feel the touch, wanted to feel the warmth of the energy of love. And she wasn't getting that. She wasn't allowing herself to feel that because it was a trust that was violated, an energy that was violated within her. And so it was in that energy that we really moved to help her to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel the energy of love. And through the progress with her, she really owned what happened. She wasn't really playing a victim anymore. She wasn't playing, not saying that anything is wrong with her, but she really wasn't the child that was hurt. She progressed to a woman who took her power back, and to really begin to express herself and take charge of her life again, and how it began to show up and resonate in other areas of her life, everything from her relationships with her family to her job to her career, everything. So the energy work that I run and connect with is one of true source energy, one power, one energy, one source, to really help to nourish the soul, to really allow the soul to bloom the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I've, had that experience as well as, helping someone through, things like that. And for, a lot of people that have gone through that type of abuse, they hate their body.
Yeah.
Their body is the cause of why they were hurt. And so, anybody even touching them repulses it. And because that's the whole purpose of why their hurt was. And then for them to bring down their walls and to be able to allow that is, it's actually quite a beautiful experience to, be a part of someone that's, healing like that for the first time. So,
Yeah. Even let alone just to talk about it.
yeah, that's the experience. The psychic mediumship. So mediumship is now connecting with people on the other side?
It is. So people sometimes confuse the terminology psychic mediumship. And I tell people that I'm a psychic medium, meaning that they are the one and the same, but yet they're separate. So psychic meaning that and just to be clear, I am a clairaudient psychic. So what that means is I hear sound and frequencies of spirit before my clairvoyancy kicks in, which is me being able to see and then allowing me to be able to feel the energies as around me. And so what that is I receive impressions, energies, and assistance from spirit guides to show me what is being asked to be seen. And then the mediumship is when I connect to a spirit or a loved one, a prominent or a strong spirit, such as an elder of the family, to come and step forward to assist in revealing information or seeing information that the client or it's asking for. So sometimes it's a combination of the two, sometimes it's just the singular. So just really depends on the energy of the client. Now this, I would say that the psychic mediumship is more so client energy than my energy that I channel, because it is based on their intention, their desired of wanting to see and connect and feel whatever it is that they want to connect and feel with and to.
So now, I firmly believe, because of, people that I've come into contact with, and, things that I've seen and heard, that, people can connect with, people on the other side and things like that. But when I watch somebody online, and then they're, mediums, and then, all of a sudden there's a list, and then, oh yeah, oh, I got you, oh yeah, I'm feeling that energy, yep, that message is coming in, and they're giving these people these messages. To me, I don't understand that so much. I don't, because like I'm a guy that things have to make sense. Like I'm a mathematical,
Yeah.
things all have to figure out. Everything has to make sense. I got 100% of my math departmental when, to graduate, and, because of my math, abilities, but that doesn't make any sense to me. Like if you're personally with someone and feeling that energy and feeling that connection, but just one after another, the next one comes in and the next one comes in, and it's like they're all lined up out there because the people are watching on, like that to me, like is a little bit of hocus pocus to me. But what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I do it every week, so it's for me. It's very real. There are two things so every week I have a show called Cosmic Insight, where myself and my co-host Rebecca Gregory, where we have a live show and we do a special portion called Ask Spirit Questions. And this is just one of the instances where, we put the energy up, we put the information up, and if you are highly tuned in or connected to the energy, you kind of get the information, because what it is simply is us connecting to the energy of that question, of that person, the individual at that time. And with us, nothing is ever rushed. And so we take the time to connect to the energy, connect to that person, and bring forth that answer. And what is joyous about this, that it's two of us doing this, right? And we 99.9% of the time always have the same or similar answer for this one individual. Now, I don't do tarot cards or any other oracle cards. I don't do any of that, because I feel it, to me, is just a tool that I don't need, and that's not how I was trained. But not saying that, people who have divination or tarot cards or anything else, there's nothing wrong with it. You do you. But for me, it is, just not how I do this. It's, to me, it's more pure as opposed to that. And then also too, what I used to do, I don't do it as much. I used to do Facebook Lives, where I would do simple yes or no readings for people. And so I would just sit on Facebook Live for about 45 minutes to an hour, just answering yes or no questions. And that's different from doing a full-on reading. And so it doesn't take as much time or energy. And so when doing this, and like I said previously, it is the intention and the connection of that individual. Meaning that, if their heart isn't open or pure or vulnerable, then sometimes that may skew the reading, which is why, personally, if I'm doing a reading for someone, I would prefer if the person is not drinking alcohol, because it kind of taints the energy a little bit. So anything that kind of taints the energy, or if you're doing recreational drugs or what have you, anything that can taint the energy can also taint the reading, because it's not me. Well, I'm receiving the energy and information to give to you, but I'm connected to you and your energy to pour down for you. So it's like me connected to that energy. And if the energy is tainted, then if the source is tainted, what are you going to do?
So how do you feel that energy if someone just types in a question? How do you connect to that person from just some words on a screen to know that you're actually connecting to that person and the message that they need to receive? If you don't see them,
Right.
how does that connection made?
Well, one, seeing the question, and two, their profile picture. That really helps. But the main energy in all of this is that if you know and understand about the third spiritual law, the law of vibration, everything is energy. Everything. Thoughts, words, emotions, all of it. All of it's all energy. And so when you have this plethora of infinite abundant energy, then you just allow yourself to tap into that universal thread of energy. So this here, this computer, this laptop that we are on is energy. And so it's transmitting this energy in the invisible space of airwaves through the internet, through Wi-Fi. And so it works in the same way. So you have this invisible thread of energy that is connected to. And so when someone puts up a question and has the intention of receiving an answer, it is like back in the old days, someone calling up, on the telly, and you expect someone to answer. So that long distance energy. So it's in that form of communication to where you connect to this invisible stream of consciousness in the collective consciousness, because we're all connected in this collective ether of energy. And so it is in that collective ether of energy to where, if you ever watch another good example is, if anyone is familiar with the movie X-Men or the X-Men itself, and Professor X, when he does his mutant abilities and he scans the whole planet and he finds mutants and what have you. It's almost like that, where you find this energy, because people find me for the most part. I don't go seeking people. People find me. And so when you have this big output of energy, people come looking. And so it's in that space of really connecting to that vein of energy of seeing someone's name, seeing the little picture, seeing the question, what it is. And it is, source divine energy of sending this connection infinitely up and bringing it back down. It's like, hey, this person needs to know this. This will help them. And so it is in that I really connect to that space-time energy, because it's all energy. It's all invisible. It's all unseen, but it's felt and known, and I hear. So it's a win-win for everybody.
So you're like a conduit to whatever it is that, the message that they need. So do you get like images of a person like that's sending that message? So if it came like from like a grandpa that had moved on, and a grandpa had a certain message from someone, do you see like an image of that person with his little pipe and mustache and gray hair, and and then all of a sudden the message comes through, and then now you can describe, hey, was your grandpa like this, and he's giving you this message? Is like, do you see that, or is it just messages that you feel, and hey, this is what I need to share with that person?
Well, it actually is different for everybody that I sit with, but that's primarily the basis of it, because I'm clairaudient. So I hear everything first before I receive any visuals. And so for confirmation and validation purposes, I ask them to show me something from their childhood, something I would never know. And so it's different for everyone. They would describe a scene, or describe a toy, or describe an outing. So it is in that space to where then once they start the spirit, start describing the scene to me, then I'll be able to see, then I am able to convey this to the client. It's like, hey, did this happen, or did you have this? And then when they validate for me, like, yes, then we can proceed, because the energies are even more open for me to provide them with the wisdom and information that they're asking for.
Awesome. Thanks for explaining that. I'm more of a visual. When someone's talking, like when you're saying things, all of a sudden I see pictures and I see things, and when someone's telling me something, it's like I got movies playing in my head.
I love
and
it.
I see things, and I've never been able to really understand that too much, but just like I can see things when people say them, and I think that's really neat, and I definitely want to further that skill as well. But I know you got to go. It's been our 90 minutes here, so
Oh, wow.
yeah, so thanks very much for sharing the time here with us. Time flies when you're having a good conversation.
It does. It really does. We have to do this again, Jesse.
Yeah, well, definitely. You're an interesting guy to talk to, and I definitely want to learn more from you. Maybe if you want to like share a little bit about the link at the bottom, tell people what they can do with that link and what that link gets them, and maybe what you have upcoming that you wanted to share.
Sure. So the link at the bottom is taplink.cc/Hillis Pugh. That's my link to everything Hillis, meaning my social media platforms, my website where you get to learn more about me and the services I offer. I even have a really cool that actually I just started and I love doing this, and so it just gets me so excited to even talk about it. To where it takes you to this website called WellSet, and I've partnered with them and worked with them in the past, and now I am a practitioner on wellset.cc, and I am doing now what I call light body activation and transformation meditation sessions. And so this is like a 45-minute to an hour long session where I get to teach you some of the tools that I use in my practice to assist in light body transformation and activation, to activate the light body, the crystalline body, to help to assist in the transformation of the DNA, to help ascend the energy on the planet, which I'm really super excited about. And so you can find that link there with all things Hillis. And lastly, in the spring, I'm super excited because I'm working together with my teacher and among other people and things to launch what I am so excited about, which is the Syrian School of Self-Mastery, where this is going to be a school led by me, teaching people the energy that I run, as well as psychic mediumship, to really get in tune with their intuitive abilities and other things, that I've done over the past 10 years of doing what I do, and it just brings so much joy. So to find out more about me, just go to the link on the bottom there.
Awesome. And this upcoming event that you have is when is that? And,
Oh yeah, sorry. That's how excited I was. I forgot the date. So the next one is December 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, and it's just a beautiful, powerful experience to have me assist and be of service to you to really activate and transform into your light body. Now, know that this is not a one-time thing. The activation is, but the process will happen over a period of time as well.
So is this a paid event, free event? What kind of event
Oh,
is this?
this is paid event, and it is $45 for this event. But trust me, it is well worth what you will receive from what people have experienced just by doing this with me, which is people have been expanded in short terms in short description of it. But it's just magnificence, beauty, and really how it helps to serve humanity, the collective as a whole.
And how do they register if they're interested in that event?
So they go to the link in there, and then you see where it says well set. So they go to the taplink.cc/Hillis Pugh, and it's one of the top links on that page where you can go to well set, and it will take you to my page to where you can then register for the event on December 11th. Again, it is $45 US, and this is a virtual event, so which means you can do this from the comfort of your own home.
And what kind of payments do you take?
It is, I believe it is credit card and I think PayPal on the WellSet website. I forget which payment that they use for that.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks again for sharing this time with us. Bless your journey, and keep helping and assisting humanity, any way that you can, because we need more people that are helping people instead of trying to deflect and and harm. This seems like lots of that insane stuff is going out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we didn't get too much into that. We just wanted to get to know you better, and you did that. So thanks for being a part of the Missing Link. It's love inspiring new knowledge, and it sounds like you got a lot of love that's inspiring, lots of knowledge out there.
Thank you, Jesse. It was a great pleasure.
Okay, awesome. So in about 26 minutes or 24 minutes, we're going to be with Hearing Crystal Clear. She's coming up. We're in our next interview. And then we've got Andres Moreno from Tales from the Ship for our third interview today. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. Thanks for all your comments, likes, and shares. And, that's what keeps this going is, your guys' support. We're on our backup YouTube channel because we're on YouTube restriction from going live. We're we can't go live on our Facebook Live right now because, you know, they said I was a bad boy. So, you know, we just keep on going and getting this information the best that we can out there. So thanks again, Hillis, and we'll, you know, looking forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.